Hello, dear friend, and welcome to your weekly horoscope. This week is gonna bring a pretty significant shift because we have three planets changing sign positions. The Sun and Mercury are moving to Taurus, and also Mars is moving to Cancer. First of all, we are gonna notice more feminine energy because up until now, those three planets were in masculine signs, in Aries and in Gemini. And now the three of them are moving into feminine signs, Taurus and Cancer. And overall, we may notice that things are a little bit calmer, a little bit more relaxed. We can focus more on comfort, on security, on things that are important also for our emotional well-being, more personal stuff, of course also more practical and concrete tasks or projects that we can work on. And overall it just changes the atmosphere. So normally we would expect that the week can be pretty calm and relaxed because of those three ingressions. But that's not the whole part of the story. The other important thing to consider is that we have some Uranus conjunctions this week. And this, on the other side, may bring some kind of surprises, something exciting, something very interesting, but also something pretty unexpected, in some cases, potentially even shocking. So it's a very, very interesting combination. From one side, we have those feminine signs triggered, which can really bring us more calmness and can help us to be more relaxed. And yet, on the other side, we have those Uranus aspects. So it can still be very interesting and exciting. And also, we can be very creative. When Uranus is so triggered, it's a great time to come up with new solutions, with new directions, new ideas. So I'm pretty sure that the week will not be boring. And the other thing to consider also is that we are in the second phase of the lunar cycle. This is the second week after the new moon, which is also one of the most productive periods, especially if you want to focus on something more external, some kind of practical results, some kind of practical actions. This part of the lunar cycle is extremely beneficial. And again, if you want more guidance and insights of how you can use the moon and the new moons and full moons, you can check the links below for the training on moon predictions. With that being said, let's start with Monday. Monday is actually the day when we have the Sun and Mercury both transitioning into Taurus. So what I just said is active and relevant even from the very first day of the week. So we won't have so much of the Aries energy around us. We will have more of the Taurus energy with the Sun and Mercury moving to Taurus. And this means that we need to focus on more practical things, more concrete goals, and also to be more patient, more consistent, to take things a little bit slower, and of course to pay more attention to the actual final results that we want to achieve. And that's a tendency not just for Monday, but actually for the next 1 month, because the Sun will be in Taurus during this time. The other thing about Mercury moving to Taurus is that we can focus on more practical things when we are planning, when we are thinking, when we are learning things, when we are processing information. We may need a little bit more time because Taurus is a slow sign. And yet it can bring stability. So whatever we work on or we learn about will probably be processed better if we also use this information in practice, if we apply it or if we see how it actually works. Specifically on Monday, we are also having one challenging aspect between Mars and Saturn. And this is not a positive aspect when it comes to work, business, taking action, or taking risks. There might be some possible delays, there might be some kind of restrictions or boundaries that we need to respect. So, overall, business activities may not be very successful, or at least the changes won't be as fast as we would like. And also, the moon is in Cancer, which means that it would be better to focus on more personally important things, on family activities, on something that will help us to feel emotionally more balanced. On Tuesday, we have a minor challenging aspect between Venus and Neptune, which means that we need to be more careful in relationships, in our personal communication, and also when it comes to financial decisions. Neptune can bring some kind of complications, unclear situations, foggy situations, and frankly, sometimes even mistakes. Someone may mislead us, or we may have just an inaccurate perspective or vision. So be more careful with your personal relationships and with financial decisions. And keep in mind that you might be oversensitive, over emotional, but at the same time, for creativity, the aspect is very, very beneficial. And we are having another, I would say, even more interesting aspect because it's much more rare. Minor positive aspect between Jupiter and Pluto. This aspect can bring incredible motivation and desire for success, desire to do something with a bigger impact, to be more ambitious, to have more healthy control, I would say. And also, even for some kind of group activities, for business activities, the aspect is actually quite beneficial. And the moon is also in Leo on Tuesday, which supports more independent actions, focusing more on the things that you love, being more encouraged and confident about your own potential, your own skills, and overall for self-expression. This is a pretty good position. On Wednesday, we have a minor, actually creative aspect between Venus and Jupiter, which is especially beneficial for basically every possible area: business, finance, relationships, creativity. They can all bring us some kind of success or positive emotions or some strong desires that are also really inspiring and motivational. And even, for financial things, for more practical things, the aspect is pretty positive. The moon is in Leo, which supports, again, more independent actions, focusing more on the things that you love, some creative projects as well, and overall working more with your own confidence. Then on Thursday, we have one of those Uranus aspects that I already told you about. We have a conjunction between Venus and Uranus. Pretty amazing, pretty exciting combination, which is honestly quite difficult to kind of predict. From one side, it might bring some intense surprises in the area of relationships, but it's not necessarily challenging. So there is a chance also that we can set ourselves free from some kind of negative emotions, from some kind of old patterns, and there might be some real surprises in those areas. So be more careful with your relationships, with financial decisions, but also be open to some kind of positive changes and surprises and something new and something much more creative. On the other side, Mercury is having a minor challenging aspect with Neptune, which can bring certain interesting situations in our communication, We need to be more careful with information, with contracts, with negotiations, but the aspect may also be pretty inspirational, and we can be even more creative. With all of that, we have also the moon in Virgo, which usually supports a more grounded, practical approach, more consistency, focus on details, and overall completing the things that we start. So the day is pretty interesting, pretty exciting, kind of unpredictable. So be open for new and hopefully positive changes. On Friday, Mars is moving to Cancer. This is pretty important because Mars spends almost 2 months in each sign. And that's pretty interesting because Mars is the planet of taking action, taking risks, independence. And we need to consider that Mars is moving into a weak position. Mars in Cancer is not really strong, which means that we need to be a little bit more cautious when it comes to risk taking, when it comes to taking any action. Of course, it doesn't mean that we should postpone things or we shouldn't do anything, which is absolutely not true. But we need to be more considerate when it comes to the risks and the outcomes and the results that we are pursuing, and also to focus more on the things that are personally important to us, which are emotionally triggering us. That would be a much better motivation to take action than normally. And of course, this position is pretty important for the water signs. First of all, for Cancer, of course, but also Scorpio and Pisces may feel more motivated during the next 2 months because Mars will support you, and you might be inspired to take more action, especially when it comes to something that is emotionally and personally important to you. Mercury also has a creative aspect with Jupiter on Friday, and that's very beneficial for communication, negotiations, planning, business, financial activities, anything that has to do with organizing work or a team project, for example. So this is a pretty nice aspect also for learning new things. And the moon is in Virgo, which helps us to focus on work, on practical assignments, to be more organized, to be more analytical when it comes to our work, our projects, and the things that we are planning. And on Saturday, we have another pretty exciting combination, Mercury in conjunction with Uranus in Taurus again. A very exciting connection because Mercury is the lower octave of Uranus. So those two planets are very mental, very oriented on information and knowledge, but from a different perspective. And Uranus can bring some exciting ideas, inspirational ideas, also something new, something really creative, finding solutions that you didn't have so far. So extremely positive for brainstorming, for creative activities. In terms of communication, the aspect is a little tricky. So we may have some really nice connections with other people, but sometimes there are surprises or unexpected reactions or things that are kind of like catching us unprepared. So communication can be more intense, and also when it comes to financial decisions, because Uranus is pretty unpredictable. There might be some positive financial benefits for us, but there might be also expenses or other situations which we haven't considered. So we have to be more cautious and more careful with financial decisions. But that doesn't mean that there won't be something positive, because with Uranus, the truth is that you never know. Positive things may happen simultaneously with the challenges or with the more unexpected situations. And the moon is in Virgo during the morning, so great time to focus on, for example, cleaning the house, organizing, doing something that you kind of must do. And then after 12 p.m., the moon is in Libra, which supports more personal things, more personal connections with other people, spending time with the people that you love, and overall doing something that you would enjoy, something that's kind of like relaxing and also pretty nice and positive, bringing positive emotions as well. And finally, on Sunday, we honestly have a pretty intense and challenging day. Mercury and Venus are joining together in Taurus, and generally that's not a bad thing at all. Actually, it can be quite positive to connect with people that we love, to analyze more practical things, even financial things. But very important clarification, together with this conjunction, Saturn also has squares with the two planets. So Mercury and Venus are together in Taurus, but Saturn is squaring both of them. And that's pretty uncomfortable when it comes to emotional stuff, when it comes to our mood, communication, relationships, financial things, honestly, almost everything. So we need to be prepared for that. Don't push things too much. Be more patient. Don't allow yourself to fall into the trap of negative thinking or too much pessimism or overall negativity. Be prepared. Just be aware of the fact that Saturn is pretty harsh at this day, and that's probably triggering most of the discomfort that we might experience. So it is what it is. Sometimes we have those days and we need to acknowledge that as well. On the other side, the moon is in Libra, which honestly just brings more focus to Venus and to our emotional matters, relationships. So we may feel like it's difficult to balance the situation, like there is a seesaw and we are just, like switching from one polarity to another. But overall, I think that the most important thing to consider is being patient, being kind with others, but first of all, with ourselves. And overall, to take things easier, not to rush them, and to pay attention to the inner balance, because that's always the solution. Okay, my friend, so that was our weekly horoscope. As you can see, pretty exciting week with lots of changes and kind of like a different atmosphere around us. Also, many positive surprises. And hopefully, some positive outcomes, especially during this second phase of the lunar cycle, when we can actually be pretty productive. For more information about the courses and the services and the readings that I offer, please check the links below or go to marstars.net. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you very soon.